Sport originally was made for men. It was made for men, it is run by men.
What has driven you to move from winning a Commonwealth Games medal to now running these women initiatives?
I have to thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak about women in sport.
Very late in my career, I was told that I have a condition called thalassemia minor.
Swimmers who had no idea what to eat, like a lot of these athletes, especially younger ones, have no clue what the right nutrition is.
I never spoke about heavy bleeding to my coach.
Today on Google, you can have all the information in the world. We have Dr. Google.
It is a reality check for everybody that क्या जाता है to get here.
Like it was such an honor for me to be a part of the 13-member medical team. First time ever a nutritionist was a part of any Olympics. It was a big first.
Hello and welcome to Beyond the Podium, a sports podcast by Reliance Foundation. I'm Inakshi Rajvanshi, your host, and I'm really excited to bring you inspiring conversations and untold stories from the world of sports. In today's episode, we're going to deep dive into the world of women in sports. We're going to talk about topics like nutrition, performance. We're going to break down stigmas around menstruation and how it affects athletic performance, and much more. We have two very special women joining us for this special episode. They're driving change in this space. Firstly, we have Aditi Mutadkar, a former national badminton champion, a Commonwealth Games medalist, and now she heads women initiatives at Simply Sport Foundation. She has done a lot to drive change in this space. She has made this entire ecosystem more inclusive for women. We are so glad to have you here, Aditi.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And we have Mihira Khopkar. She is lead sports nutritionist at Reliance Foundation. She was recently part of the Indian team contingent at Paris Olympics. She has also worked with few of the top athletes in the country and created strategies, nutrition plans that have affected and enhanced their performances to a great extent. Thank you so much for joining us, both of you, Aditi and Mihira.
Thank you, Inakshi.
So, Aditi, Mihira, we are so happy to have you both here. We're gonna deep dive into women in sports. Both of you come from varied backgrounds. You have been athletes. You have been a professional athlete. You have represented the country. Aditi, if you could tell us a little more on what has driven you to move from a professional athlete, from winning a Commonwealth Games medal, which is a very big deal, to now running these women initiatives.
Yeah, I think the will to sort of do this came from my journey as an athlete itself, because I was fortunate enough to sort of play elite badminton. And when you play at that level, you also see a lot of disparities that are going on, across the ecosystem. And additionally, I was also a generally injured player, which meant that I always had these off times in between my sport. And I remember that even I used to go down to volunteer in various non-profit organizations at that point, not really considering with sport, but just generally. And I realized that this is a space that feels good, like to be in the development sector felt good, and it sort of really gave me something to be passionate about. And when I quit sport, I realized that that's how I want to sort of do things that I might enjoy, which is sport, and then coming into the development sector. So I actually did get formally educated also, to just make sure that कोई ये ना बोले कि athlete है तो doesn't have the skills to sort of do what is needed. So I did my masters in public affairs in non-profit management from University of Texas in Dallas, and then came back to sort of start my journey in the development sector. And I have no regrets. I'm really, really enjoying what I do.
That's so good to hear. Somebody who has worked into the space, and not just as an athlete, but now using those experiences to help other women. Mira, you have also played a lot of sports. How did you choose something so niche? Like, anyway, the industry, we have very less representation of women. But going so deep and choosing sports nutrition as a career, how did that happen?
Actually, before we actually dive into the question, I think I have to thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak about women in sport, because I think these are opportunities where we can sort of give these messages that are otherwise not, they're probably there, but the reach is not there perhaps. So I think thank you firstly for having us. And to answer your question, funnily enough, I never planned on doing nutrition in the first place. So nobody in a family is into, for example, nutrition or sports science or anything. For example, I'm the only athlete in the family who's whatever done nationals, trialed for the Commonwealth Games in 2010 in synchronized swimming. But like I was very clear from the very beginning that I wanted to do something in sports, because I felt like I could give back to my sporting fraternity, because there were so many things that today I think athletes are so blessed because they have like a coach, of course, but they have like a psychologist, a nutritionist, physician, a physiotherapist, a massage therapist, like a complete ecosystem for them today. And back then we didn't have any of that support at all. So I was very clear that I wanted to do something in the field of sports and give back to the fraternity. And nutrition just came along the way because I remember my mom and dad were my nutritionists, because I remember my dad watching a lot of Arnold and the things that he does, and he made me drink all these egg yolks in milk raw, which is now called an eggnog and whatever. So like I've always been influenced with like eating healthy at home, but like studying, doing my bachelor's and then doing my master's in sports nutrition helped me understand the real impact that food can bring to the table when it comes to performance, because it's your fuel. And if you put in the right fuel in your engine, then you can go really fast. But if you put like all the nonsense stuff in your body, you're not really gonna improve performance, no, but also not like be healthy generally. So then that led me to sort of really pursue this. And I think back in 2016 when I finished my masters, there were no jobs in nutrition, because most people thought that you could be, the coach was the nutritionist, like you could not really make any difference as such, being a different entity that is a nutritionist with that expertise. But like it took me like a few years for me to, like you said, like you worked with a lot of clubs and academies for free, because then that's where you learn, that's where my on-field experience sort of came in. And I realized that people actually have no idea about what they're eating, because I worked with a few cricketers, all they ate was a vada pav, in and around. Swimmers who had no idea what to eat. Like a lot of these athletes, especially younger ones, have no clue what the right nutrition is. Although it's funny because today on Google you can have all the information in the world. We have Dr. Google with us. But I think because there is so much of information, people really don't know therefore what's right for me, like what's tailor-made for me. So I think that really led me to explore more opportunities, and then here I am working with a lot of athletes. And I must say that whether it's nutrition for young athletes who, chalo, you can maybe say that they won't have enough knowledge about nutrition, but I can very strongly tell you elitist athletes also may not necessarily know everything about nutrition. So a large part of what I do is also educating them, and I hope someday they don't need me. I feel like they are empowered enough to make the right choice as such. So yeah, that's the ultimate goal.
So, Aditi, you have led a lot of initiatives, and one of the initiative that has stood out, not just for the athletes but for the entire ecosystem, is talking about periods.
Right.
That is something that is stigmatized ever since. Things are getting better. A lot of athletes have been speaking about it. Anju Bobby, yours recently spoke about it. How did you get into, like, what was the inspiration behind actually talking about this? Were there any instances that you felt personally as in your journey as an athlete?
Yeah. So I think it was a mix of both. I mean, I think there's a play of chance and luck, but also there was experience that I had with the whole thing. So I'll just start off with what I've experienced as an athlete, and so I think I was an athlete who was not extremely informed about my own body, and what are the smaller things, small things that might affect my body, right? Very late in my career, I was told that I have a condition called thalassemia minor, which basically means that you cannot. I mean, in terms of the oxygen that your blood carries, or you're anemic also just automatically as well. And combining this with a heavy bleeder. So I was a very heavy bleeder on my period days, right? So combining all of these factors, it was difficult. And I now, when I see it from this angle, right, when I look back, it was difficult for me to sort of recover quickly from from tough sessions or things like that. It was also difficult to sort of fatigue was very high, a lot of times, especially on my period days, right, because of the heavy bleeding part, and also having the thalassemia minor sort of condition as well. And at that point, we couldn't make those connections as an athlete. Like Mihira said, we didn't have that support to make these minute sort of observations and make sure that you're catering for that. Nutrition wasn't on point as well. Or I didn't know that I was a heavy bleeder up till quite some time, that I realized this was not normal, that I'm not supposed to bleed that much, right? And as an elite athlete especially, I realized that all these things make a difference, right? Every small thing that you do is going to make you that much better than the opponent. And this becomes a very important part of our physiology. And we never had any conversation about it. Like I never spoke about heavy bleeding to my coach or to my sport. I mean, there was no sports science team really, but that's, I mean, that's like a given today. But for us, it was really not present. So there was a taboo attached to it. So we couldn't speak about it, and I also didn't know much about the science of physiology and things like that. And I, like I said, I was always an injured athlete. Or since the age of 17, I had my first ACL tear, and it just kept building up. So today I can't say that it was only because I was a heavy bleeder that I was getting injured a lot. But I know that all of these things are connected in a way, right? So
Somehow just it happened so that you became that voice for so
yes.
many
I
athletes.
hope so, but I don't want to take that much of a pressure of that. But I just feel that I think it is something that we had been missing for some time, and it's good that it's out there now.
Meera, you have worked with a lot of athletes, both मेल फीमेल कुछ ऐसे डिफरेंट आप strategies यूज करते हो, स्पेशली व्हेन इट कम्स टू लाइक इफ सपोज एन एथलीट comes to you and they are having issues with menstruation, yeah, even if there's nothing related to that, but do you have like separate strategies for male and female athletes? Like how does it work?
Of course, there are definitely different strategies for male and female athletes, and I'll just pick a few things from Aditi, what Aditi already said, and I think I'll break it down into, let's say, three parts to it. I think the first important part is something called as relative energy deficiency, and what it really means, I'll deep dive into it a little bit. What it really means is that most female athletes, especially in sports where weight becomes very important for them, so being low on weight is one of the key factors to help improve performance. So that could be in athletics for somebody who's a sprinter, it could be a gymnast, for example, it could be swimmers even. So it could be those specific athletes or weight category sports on the lower side of the weight category, especially women, who have to maintain a very low weight so that they know that it will help improve performance. So generally, they are very conscious of what they eat, and then they become very picky eaters. So what's happening along the way is because they know that if I'm low on weight, I will improve performance, for which I'll have to eat less. I'll have to eat like as little as possible. So they'll starve, they may not necessarily eat like a complete healthy diet, and that somehow leads them to eating a little bit off, such that it's almost disordered in a way. Not that every athlete will get into a very clinical disordered eating pattern, but they may not necessarily eat nutritious, healthy, calorie dense food, very balanced, healthy food. And this has a huge influence on your menstrual cycle, because like being very low on calories can influence your estrogen level such that it drops. When it chronically drops, it can then lead to abnormal periods, irregular periods. And most athletes are not today worried so much about their health or periods because they're focused too much on performance. Mera performance aa raha hai na, then that's what they're focused on. Although till today there is no study that confirms that periods or menstrual cycle has a negative effect on
Yeah.
performance or training. But the symptoms that every woman or female athlete experiences can surely negatively affect the training on that day, which very indirectly could have an impact on performance. So I think as long as we address those symptoms, we are in a good place.
You said जैसे periods के just पहले या in that phase मन नहीं करता है कुछ करने का, but majority of our athletes come from rural backgrounds.
Yes.
How do they tell it to their coach कि नहीं है आज मेरा मन करने का, ट्रेनिंग है नहीं करना है, मुझे नहीं फील हो रहा है, they will think कि lazy है, आलसी है, नहीं करना है आज इसको, right? So what are you trying in your workshops to create this safe space where the athlete is able to talk to the coach and not just explain कि I have periods and I want to do this,
Yeah.
but or I don't want to do this, but they're actually able to explain it to them कि this is what we are going through every month.
Sure. सो आई थिंक हमारे अभी हम जो सिंपली स्पोर्ट में अभी जो इंटरवेंशंस करते हैं इसमें दो चीज़ें हम ट्राई कर रहे हैं. वन इज़ दैट यू कैनॉट नॉट हैव अ कन्वर्सेशन विथ योर मेल कोचेस, मोस्टली मेल कोचेस. आई मीन देर आर फीमेल कोचेस बट दे आर वेरी लेस, राइट? So I think the workshops that we do, they cater to coaches as well. So we also have a conversation with the coaches and the athletes. We try to make sure that हम किसी academy में जाते हैं तो we make sure that both of them are being addressed, because we can't just address one part of the ecosystem and then forget the other. The second thing that we have realized is that coaches actually are not villains. I mean, I think when you approach something which is like periods and you want to sort of be very comfortable and say it's a male problem, they are not empathetic and all of that. But that's not true. I mean, they also are coming from a culture where we are coming from, जहाँ पे ये coffee table conversation नहीं होता है. And I think, but once you have that conversation with the coach, I think they're more than happy to sort of फिगर आउट करना क्या है मैडम, लाइक दैट्स द क्वेश्चन दैट वी आस्क. क्या ओके ये सब तो समझ करे क्या, हाउ डू वी हेल्प आवर एथलीट? सो दे रियली वांट टू help the athlete. Now coming to the point of communication is where this whole thing starts, right? I mean, you cannot do anything about this until you're able to communicate. And what we've realized is that with athletes, especially if you're making the connection with performance, because उनके लिए पूरी पूरी उनकी जो identity है वो performance से जुड़ी है, बाकी कुछ उनको समझ में नहीं आता, right? And the moment you say that ये सब हम इसीलिए बात कर रहे हैं कि it is connected to your performance, like Mihira very scientifically explained to us, I think they do realize the importance of it, right? बट हमको उनको थोड़ी-थोड़े स्ट्रैटेजीज़ देनी पड़ती है कि आप इसके बारे में कम्युनिकेट कैसे करेंगे. आई थिंक द कोड लैंग्वेज बिट इज़ वेरी नॉर्मल. मोस्ट ऑफ द एथलीट्स विल टेल अस दैट हम पेट दुख रहा है बोलते हैं तो कोच समझ जाता है. या या इफ दे से कि मैं सिट अप नहीं करने वाली तो द कोच हाँ ओके ओके गो, लाइक सो देयर आर दोस कोडेड थिंग्स दैट आर गोइंग ऑन. बट आई थिंक द मोमेंट वी हैव रियलाइज्ड दैट द मोमेंट दे से पीरियड जोर से इन आवर वर्कशॉप, they actually start feeling कि अरे क्या क्यों, like it's okay, everybody knows this thing and it's natural.
Both of you have very beautifully explained scientifically and socially how this has been affecting the entire ecosystem. Since we spoke a lot about menstruation, I also want to touch upon a topic which would be considered very basic, but it is very important in terms of logistics, that is washrooms. And I think all of us, both of you have been athletes. I've worked in the media space. I've also played cricket. So for example, in cricket, when a batsman has to change, they can just change on the ground. But if it comes to women cricket, you can't just pad up anywhere, right? But they don't create those dressing rooms. तो ऐसे कुछ instances आप दोनों को ही ऐसे कुछ हुआ है, क्योंकि again it is all connected.
Yeah.
Yes.
And वो अवेयरनेस नहीं है, स्पेशली मेल काउंटर पार्ट्स को अवेयरनेस नहीं. अगर आप एक ही टीम का पार्ट है तो आपके मेल काउंटर पार्ट को भी वो अवेयरनेस होना चाहिए कि हाँ आई हैव टू इंश्योर दैट माय टीम मेंबर्स आर गेटिंग दोज फैसिलिटीज. तो ऐसा कुछ इंसिडेंट आपके साथ या आपके साथ हुआ है?
मुझे इसमें थोड़ा-सा ये भी लगता है कि इसमें थोड़ा-सा हमें कल्चर भी समझना पड़ेगा. सो आई थिंक स्पोर्ट ओरिजिनली वाज़ मेड फॉर मेन, मतलब इट वाज़ मेड फॉर मेन, इट इज़ रन बाय मेन. सो उनके लिए टॉयलेट इज़ नॉट रियली दैट इम्पोर्टेंट, बिकॉज़ आप कहाँ भी जाके कुछ भी कर सकते हो एंड एटलीस्ट इंडिया में तो इट इज़ रियल, राइट? सो एटलीस्ट फ्रॉम द इंडियन स्टेडियम इकोसिस्टम फॉर एग्जांपल, हमारा जो पूरा स्टेडियम बनाया जाता है वो भी उसी लेंस से बनाया जाता है, right? So and when we look at infrastructure in India in general, that's what you will see. That's why toilets are not prioritized, because they just don't get it. कि हमारे लिए ये क्यों important है, and why is it something that is going to impact us, right? So I think infrastructure के लिए भी that policy orientation is very important. कि जब आप and that will not be mentioned anywhere in our sports policy or anywhere else, right? But having hygienic facilities of sport becomes extremely important for girls. It is impossible. I know that girls, for example, they're not comfortable with the pads, right? And because the rash aate hain, yeah, there are girls who really have heavy bleeding, and they just have to keep changing their pads so many times, and they want to switch to the cup. They really do want to switch to the cup, and then they will say कि साफ कैसे करे, पानी ही नहीं है. Pad becomes easy, right? Because you can just take it, put a newspaper on it, and you can throw it. Because I can't use a cup because I don't get hot water in any of the bathrooms that I play in, right? So now imagine this, and then all the things that she's saying in terms of your health getting affected, you're getting an infection, right? You're not being comfortable, and then you have to go and play your semi-final or your final on that day. Of course you're going to be struggling, yaar. मतलब so what I think is कि ये जो पूरा lens है ना थोड़ा sport का, and it is not, I think, something that is central to India. I mean, it is something that has always been there, that sport is equal to men, and things have of course come a long way. I mean, I'm not saying they're still there, but what I'm trying to say is कि वो lens बदलना पड़ेगा. कि when we are looking at our facilities, when we are looking at what do our facilities hold, right? Do we have period pad dispensers in all our state centers, for example? Because like you said, most of our audiences or athletes actually come from rural backgrounds, जिनके लिए शायद pad भी खरीदना on a regular basis is tough, right? So as a state policy, as a state department policy, a sport department policy, are we saying that we are going to have one budget जहाँ पे हम hygiene की चीज़ें हम हमारे athletes को देने वाले हैं? And that will only come when you have that lens, right? So I think there are things that we need to do at the policy level as well to solve something like toilets, because I can't solve it. I mean, athlete या कोई coach या कोई other ecosystem वो solve नहीं कर पाएगा. We need the policy makers to understand why it's important, and it has to become something that is incentivized also, because toilets are the least incentivized generally, right? I mean, they're not taken as seriously.
Actually, sorry, but just to add on to what she said, with period care products.
Yeah.
And something that we did together
Yep.
in Odisha, we realized that we, I think, surveyed about 450 odd individuals who were a group of female athletes and male athletes and coaches and sports science staff and spectators and stuff like that. The question was, what period care products do you prefer to use? 3% of that population chose cloth.
Yeah.
These are elite national level competing athletes, and some of them are still using a cloth. So imagine, I mean, I can't even think of what they'd be going through if they are, if they're going, I mean, they have their periods and they are competing, multiple events. Where are they changing? How many cloths are they carrying? How are they storing it, till they get home? Like, these are real challenges, I think.
That's an insightful stat. I mean, I can't even imagine that people playing at the top tier are still uh, not having maybe that awareness, or don't have that someone to speak to and
Yeah.
change their how they kind of function during those days. Mihira, you have been part of the Reliance Foundation. Like both of you said, things have evolved over the years. Now we have like a sports science team, we have nutritionists, we have psychologists that are around the athletes at the biggest of levels. So for you, how has that experience been, being part of this ecosystem, helping out athletes, working with them?
That is exactly what we do at Reliance Foundation Sports, where we are ensuring that we understand and cater to the problem if there is beforehand, and then we communicate amongst ourselves to build a strategy, give the athlete confidence, and then it is being followed. The nutrition strategy, the psychology strategy, the physio strategy, any medical strategy is been sort of tracked on a regular basis. For female athletes, like she mentioned, period tracking. For any female athlete of ours who's got any concerns on menstrual health, we'll end up tracking their periods on a monthly basis, tracking how they feel before the periods. And then these are some things that we make them feel empowered on to speak about with the coaches, which is, in a setup like us, not a challenge at all, because we've ensured that there's needs to be very open communication, because at the end of the day, it's the athlete. Performance, yes, but athlete as a human being, athlete as in his or her health, all of that is of equal prime importance along with performance.
This has been such an insightful conversation so far, and I'm sure our audience would love to hear the kind of insights, the kind of experiences, instances that you have spoken about, and it will help a lot of female athletes as well as the male counterparts in the ecosystem. So thank you, really. Thank you for bringing this up today and agreeing to talk about it and to this extent. Both of you have been athletes. आप बहुत इंटरनेशनल इवेंट्स में गए, आप कॉमनवेल्थ गेम्स में मेडल जीते हैं. थोड़ा अब दूसरे साइड में चलते हैं. लेट्स गो बैक इन हिस्ट्री. लेट्स टॉक अबाउट आपके कैसे एक्सपीरियंसेस रहे वहाँ पे एज एन एथलीट. क्या देखा, क्या सीखा, कैसे चीज़ें चेंज हो रही है, तब का बताओ थोड़ा.
up. I think every athlete talks about that feeling of, looking at your flag go up and you being a part of that experience. And it always is something that gives you goosebumps. But I think, but that was very, very special. I mean, I hold that as a very, very special memory to be able to be there at that point and, represent the country. But I would also like to talk about another experience which was a little very different from this one, but it was international sport experience. कि मुझे याद है, आई थिंक 2008 में हम लोग एक यूरोपियन सर्किट के लिए जाने वाले थे एंड सडनली द गवर्नमेंट मेंशन दैट फंडिंग कम है तो हम कैंसिल कर रहे हैं टूर. एंड मुझे पता था कि आई वाज फीलिंग एक्सट्रीमली गुड ऑन द कोर्ट. अब मुझे कुछ भी हो जाए खेलना था. और द मोमेंट फंडिंग इज पुल्ड आउट, यू डोंट नो वेयर द फंड्स आर गोइंग टू कम फ्रॉम. एंड मैंने अपने मम्मी पापा को बोला कि ये सीन है, इतना इतना पैसा लगेगा, मेरे को खेलना है, क्या करना है. सो दे सेड, आर यू श्योर, यू मतलब आपको जाना है, बिकॉज आई वॉज द ओनली गर्ल इन दैट इन दैट सर्किट विच वॉज गोइंग टू ट्रैवल एट दैट पॉइंट. And with my own money and my own resources, no coach, no sports science staff, nothing. And it was going to cost us quite a bit. I think around 3 lakh का budget निकला था. And my parents were like, if you are up for it, हम करते हैं. And I remember we took my father took a loan and उसके friend के पास गए थे और loan लिया था and all of that. So by the time I reached the tournament, इतनी चीज़ें हो गई थी, इतना ड्रामा हो गया था कि आई रिमेंबर दैट even a day before I was walking with my suitcase in that in a small Germany का गाँव, because I realized that अगर मैं और दिन वहाँ पे रही तो मेरा बिल इतना बढ़ जाएगा, because we was पहले हम जब गए थे तब ऑफिशियल होटल में गए थे. और ऑफिशियल होटल में जब आप जाते हो तो द इट्स जनरली 3 स्टार 4 स्टार होटल. एंड आई रियलाइज कि मेरा पूरा पैसा खत्म हो जाएगा अगर मैं इस वीक में ही यहाँ रही. तो आई रिमेंबर आई ट्राई टू फाइंड अ स्मॉलर हॉस्टल सॉर्ट ऑफ अ लोकेशन. मेरे को किसी ने बताया कि ऐसा ऐसा है, आप वहाँ पे चली जाएंगे तो 20 यूरो में आपका काम हो जाएगा, बट यू विल नॉट गेट ट्रांसपोर्ट, यू नॉट गेट एनीथिंग, आपको वॉक करके आना पड़ेगा ट्रांसपोर्ट के लिए टू गो टू द स्टेडियम एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट. एंड आई सेड आई हैव टू डू इट, देयर इज नो ऑप्शन. And I actually took my bag and my small kit bag, and अकेली लड़की मैं जा रही हूँ वहाँ पे. I went and lived in that hostel. That hostel के रूम में टॉयलेट नहीं थे. There was no washroom. There was a common washroom, and it was one small dingy room, right? And खाने का प्रॉब्लम था, because again you have to budget it, right? Because पैसा कम है तो बजट करना है, तो आप खाना यही इतना ही खा सकते हो, इतना पानी का बॉटल आप खरीद नहीं सकते, तो पानी कैरी करके लाना पड़ता था, विच इज़ लाइक योर 5 लीटर का ये you're carrying in addition to your kit bag. So I had made so much of an effort to just go and play that first round. मेरे को याद है मैं जब फर्स्ट राउंड खेली थी, आई स्टार्टेड ऑफ वेरी बैडली. लाइक मेरा आई थिंक इट वाज बेस्ट ऑफ 321 पॉइंट्स था तभी, एंड आई हैड सॉर्ट ऑफ वेरी बैडली. And I had to shake myself up because there was nobody sitting behind and telling me, and there was nobody cheering for me. It was one bit burger open tha wo. And I told myself कि अदिति भाई, just after my first game I told myself कि 2 ऑप्शन है. एक तो इतना ड्रामा हो चुका है, तुमने ये सब चीज़ें की हैं यहाँ तक खेलने के लिए. अगर आप अब यू falter because you can't believe in yourself, या you're not going to push yourself, that's going to be a crime. So सोच लो करना क्या है, right? And I don't know what flipped after that. And I remember, I just kept going in that tournament. In the quarterfinals I beat that then world number 10 Juliana Schenk. She was my role model at that point, because she was a German who used to just beat the Chinese at that point. She was like a warrior, and वो मेरे सामने आई, तब मैंने बोला आज सब लगा देना है. And I remember I beat her very, very, very simple, ekdam easily I beat her in that match, and I couldn't believe myself what had happened, and it just kept going like that, and I reached the finals. And I remember I was match point up, and that's when it actually तक I was fine. Like, that first game, bad game. And then till then I was fine. And then I remember that experience of, being there and just not believing that this is happening, that I'm going to be a Grand Prix champion. And that uske pehle sirf Saina had won a Grand Prix event at that point and nobody else had done that. So I was like number two. Like, I was going to make that happen. And the moment that thought came, I lost, and I really lost that match. And I regret that one match. I regret that for my whole life. I sometimes wake up, thinking, oh shit, kya hota agar main wo jeet jati. But I think that tournament told me a lot about myself, and why it's important to sort of believe in yourself, whatever happens. You don't need coaches and sports science teams sometimes. You just need yourself sometimes, right? And that is number one thing that is required. So I think ये जो एक experience था मेरे लिए, and I remember I did all of that, and my world ranking I was at some 70 odd or something at that point, and I dropped to around 27 by the time I came back. So I was in the top 30 in the world because of that whole European circuit that I played.
ऐसे एक्सपीरियंसेस और ऐसे स्टोरीज सुन के लगता है ना अभी कि तब ये सब नहीं किया होता तो अभी कैसे बात करते हैं. These are the stories you tell to your kids.
Exactly. I think it is a reality check for everybody that, kya jata hai to get here. So yeah, so it's a good memory.
Meera, you on the other hand, just recently last year went with the Indian team contingent to Paris Olympics, and you saw the other side. You saw all the elite athletes, top famous athletes of the country representing, giving in their all, and you were there to support them, to help them out in that ecosystem. So आप उस direction या उस lens से बताओ कि what all went there, how was your experience there?
I think ये जो experience है, I'll break it into two segments. I think the first segment is कि like it was such an honor for me to be a part of the 13-member medical team with the Indian contingent, one. And for me, this was, I mean, the first time ever a nutritionist was a part of any Olympics. So this was a big first. So I was looking at it more as a learning opportunity as well, because this is the first time you get to actually experience what goes there. Because सारी जो प्री प्लानिंग होती है, सारी जो स्ट्रैटेजीज होती है, वो आप ऑलरेडी अपने यहाँ डोमेस्टिक सर्किट में आपने ट्रायल एरर करके देख लिए हैं. But what happens at the biggest event ever is a different ball game. Options तो बहुत सारे हैं, पर most athletes are unaware कि हमें खाना क्या है, कौन सा कॉम्बिनेशन हमें खाना है. एंड दैट्स वेयर आई लैंडेड अप स्पेंडिंग. मैंने काफ़ी मेरा टाइम डाइनिंग हॉल में स्पेंड करा है, लाइक सिटिंग विद एथलीट्स एंड हेल्पिंग देम बिल्ड देयर प्लेट्स that are such that are rich on nutrition and fueling and stuff like that. So I think these two are key main areas that we worked on, amongst others, of course. And the second part, I think I was just carry forward with what Aditi already said, and something that I really believe in, that everybody's success, whether you're an athlete or not, is intrinsically driven. Like you need to have a very strong will to win, to perform, or whatever you want to do in life. You need to really have a very strong will, and you need to be able to make whatever ends meet, do whatever possible to achieve what you've planned to do, because well, you've decided what you want to do, and it's your will to get it all done. Extrinsic support is there. So like for example, we as the sports science and medicine team, we are there to support you with anything you need, but you need to demand that support from us. Like you need to ensure कि मेरा follow up session कब होगा, मेरे plate पे इतने सारे चावल क्यों है, example, like why is there no protein in my meal. So I think all that should also be very it should come from the athlete. And I was again very honored to meet some of the legends in the sporting community while I was in Paris. And I was trying to ask them कि मतलब आप क्या खाते हो, आपकी nutrition strategies क्या है, कि आपका overall routine कैसा है. So to just have an idea about what they do. And I realized, one, कि वो बहुत intrinsically driven है, like I said, and two, they do simple things amazingly well. तो कुछ कॉम्प्लेक्स, कॉम्प्लिकेटेड, नया, इनोवेटिव ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं था. वो टाइम पे सोते हैं, टाइम पे खाते हैं, हाई प्रोटीन हाई फाइबर डाइट खाते हैं फॉर एग्जांपल. They monitor what they eat, they monitor their weights regularly, they sleep okay, like I said, they have regular sessions with whoever of their sports science and medicine support staff. So they do like the right things really well. You know, like for example, I'm not an expert at this, but like cool down. Because for some of us who work out, it's like a pain to like spend another 10 minutes to cool down. But there are people who spend, you know, the required amount of time to properly invest in that, because they know that's the amount of impact it's going to have on their recovery. So they just spend, मतलब वो simple चीज़ें बहुत अच्छे से करते हैं, and I think that is the key to success.
Guys, I can go on and on. I think the entire day I can have conversations because you have such varied experiences and the kind of insights you're bringing into this conversation. But I think our producer won't let us do that. So thank you so much for joining in. And uh, this was something that is very close to our heart, speaking about women in sports. I mean, in this episode, we could only cover so much, but I hope someday again we're gonna
Yeah.
meet again. We're gonna talk about a lot more that goes into this. There's so many different topics to touch upon, but I'm so glad that we spoke about periods, we spoke about nutrition, your experiences at various international events. One thing that we have been doing with all of our guests is we're asking book recommendations for our viewers. So if you guys can tell us one book that you feel our viewers should read, it could be uh, any topic, not necessarily the topics we spoke about. Meera, we can start with you.
I'll have to think about it. You put me at a spot.
It's okay, you can think.
Okay, Aditi, if you have something in mind.
Yeah. So I think I would, because we are also in this, the women in sports sort of topic, I think one book that everybody should definitely put their hands on currently is the book written by Sakshi Malik. She's just written an autobiography about herself, and it's the best part about that book is that it is extremely honest. It is just crazy honest. She's spoken about everything. She's spoken about body image issues. She's spoken about how she had issues in terms of wearing sleeveless clothes, and then she would always put a jacket on so that she felt okay. It took her so long to sort of take out that jacket and be comfortable with her with the body, right? And she's spoken about that. She's spoken about safety issues also, very very honestly, right? And she's, I mean, I think it's one of the most honest Indian sport autobiographies that I've read. A lot of autobiographies are written, but they're generally about male athletes, and I don't get the feeling that they're very honest. But with Sakshi's book, I really feel that she's really put herself out there, and it gives you a very strong a sort of reflection of how women play sport in India, and what are the sort of things that they have to handle. She also talks very beautifully about not understanding finance, right? And how important it is for girls, especially given the sort of cultural nuance we come from, that paisa aaya papa ko de do, because men are supposed to handle that, right? And that also she talks extremely beautifully in the book. So I think, yeah, that's going to be the book that I'm going to recommend.
Okay, so I think from my end, the books that I read are mostly all sports sciencey stuff, or nutrition and health stuff, or they are inspirational and spiritual and stuff like that. So since you've already spoken a little bit about sports and you already have that as an example reference, I think I would rather actually suggest readers to read something on Paulo Coelho, like an alchemist. So I think if they've not read it already or read it, long ago, I think it's a good book to pick and reread it. And I think you will just, pick yourself from where you are and you'll find your way all over again. So I think that's something that I'd recommend. And I think nutritionally, I've written a book on nutrition for track and field athletes. It's called Faster, Stronger, Higher. So I think if there are any track and field athletes around, they could definitely go on any leading sites and read about it, because that really lays the foundation on nutrition strategies for different disciplines under athletics, from sprinting to middle distance, long distance, throwing, everything. And it gives you guidelines that are periodized in nature. So I think
Nice touch and nice marketing of your own
Oh
book.
yeah, I was on just exactly
I mean,
that.
it's
That's
intended.
intelligent. You know,
That's why I was like, "Hey, you have your own book. Why do you need to think about
yeah,
the
why do
book?"
you need to
No, but I mean,
recommend
it's intended to help everyone at the end of the day. So if it makes a
Yeah, why not?
but I think that's why people write
But
books.
I've heard about athletes using your book, so
Yeah.
yep.
See, there you go. It helps people.
Enough of serious talks. One quick fun segment that we want to do with you. We will give you certain scenarios and you have to just answer spontaneously जो भी दिमाग में आता है.
Done.
ठीक है? So Riti, if you were a coach of the Indian badminton team, what's the first thing you'd change?
I would, I think, have free supply of period pads
Nice one.
immediately.
If you could play any other sport professionally, what would that be?
Carom.
Interesting.
Very
Nice.
interesting.
Yeah, because कुछ मतलब ज़्यादा हार्डवर्क नहीं है, मारते रहो तब हार्डवर्क होगा. I hope carom athletes will kill me, but I think carom will be fun.
You don't want any physical exertion.
हाँ, mental
mental
exertion
चलेगा.
चाहिए. हाँ,
हो
बहुत
गया,
हो गया.
बहुत हो गया.
बैडमिंटन के साथ फिजिकल बहुत हो गया.
If you were a commentator, what's the one phrase you'd use all the time?
Love all play.
Okay, interesting. If you could relive one match from your career, which one would it be?
I spoke about it. It's going to be the Maria Febe match that I lost like an idiot in the Bitburger Open final.
If you were invisible for a day, what's the first thing you'd do?
I actually would go behind my son. Agastya is 5 years old. I'll go behind him and follow him to the school because that's the only place I don't get to see what he does.
But do you not want time like for yourself?
No, I do. I actually just want to see वो करता क्या है because he gives me a report and I think it may not be the right report that he gives. So I really want to
What do you
check.
expect out of a report from a 5-year-old?
Exactly. पर मुझे वो
उससे भी
देखना है.
reports ले रही है.
हाँ, उससे भी tracking report लेती हूँ मैं.
If you could create a new rule in badminton, what would it be?
New rule in badminton. Actually, same prize money for all. I don't think that's still there. हमारे टाइम पे तो नहीं था.
If you could play against any player in history, who would that be?
Susi Susanti. I think she was fabulous. I mean, उसका service में I think I would have sort of lost because I would just keep looking at when she's going to serve. She had a really like, cool way of serving. So I think, I missed out on that. I would have loved to play Susi.
Thank you. Those were quick responses. Meera, we'll come to you. आजकल Instagram, YouTube पे सब न्यूट्रिशन एक्सपर्ट्स है. ठीक है, सबके कुछ नया आइडियोलॉजी होता है, कुछ नया होता है. तो आज हम कुछ मिथ्स डिबंक करेंगे. We'll give you 4-5 it could be myths, they could be true. You have to tell us because I don't trust what's happening on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, but you trust me.
Yes. And your book.
Book. Put
Faster,
the plug in.
air,
Plug in the
faster,
book.
stronger,
Stronger,
higher.
higher.
That's the Olympic motto.
It is, but like faster, higher, stronger.
Okay. True or false? Eating after 8 p.m. automatically leads to weight gain.
ऐसा नहीं होता है. It's about what you eat that matters than eating after 8 p.m.
Does drinking lemon water in the morning really help you lose weight?
It will help you get to the loo nicely and help you perhaps clear your bowel.
But your weight
loss नहीं
remains the
होगा.
same.
Protein खा के muscle बन जाएगा?
नहीं. But I'll give you a little science behind it as well. So I think सिर्फ प्रोटीन खा के मसल नहीं बनता है. The whole idea is that you eat every 2-2 घंटे 3-3 घंटे जब भी आप खाना खाओ आप कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स और प्रोटीन को साथ में खाओ and that is what this combination over multiple meals throughout the day will help you gain muscle mass. सिर्फ प्रोटीन खा के नहीं बनेगा.
Vegetarian athletes cannot succeed.
नहीं ऐसा तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. यस थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट ज़रूर हो जाता है क्योंकि वेजिटेरियन एथलीट्स के लेट्स से प्रोटीन गुड क्वालिटी प्रोटीन ऑप्शंस रिलेटिवली कम है नॉन वेजिटेरियन ऑप्शन से. तो उनको थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा एफर्ट ज़रूर करना पड़ेगा पर ऐसा नहीं है कि जो वीगन या वेजिटेरियन है वो परफॉर्म नहीं कर सकते.
Also, it is expensive. To be a vegetarian athlete.
वो भी ज़रूरी नहीं है. आई थिंक फॉर एग्जाम्पल इवन इफ आई एम एबल टू यूज़ माई लेंटिल्स स्मार्टली I should be a bit okay, with balancing my intake. And then of course there's tofu and soybean and today people have a little bit of quinoa, but a lot of nuts, seeds, all of that. And if you're vegetarian, तो पूरा dairy का group ही आ जाता है साथ में, which is milk, paneer, dahi, all of that. So I think that helps. But you're a vegan, yes, थोड़ा सा effort.
Expensive
हाँ.
और effort ज़्यादा है.
Last question, because we spoke a lot about periods and there's a notion that you want to have dark chocolate in periods. Is it actually healthy?
So So I feel if you like dark chocolate or any dessert and you really like it and you really crave it, eat it as is without any guilt. Let's
Perfect.
just not make
Good
it,
nutritionist, a sign of a good nutritionist.
don't make it a habit to have that every day. But like that one time you really feel it, please have it and enjoy it. Because I know that, again, sorry I'm taking time, but I feel like many athletes, because especially those who control their weight, डर जाते मतलब फूड से ही डर जाते हैं एंड फूड इज नॉट फूड नीड्स टू बी सेलिब्रेटेड लाइक यू शुड फील great when you eat your food, so it's not something to be scared of for sure. So if you really like something, go for it, have it. Don't eat the whole cake, have your one piece, and then don't eat it every day. Limit your frequency. As long as you do that, you're fine.
That's it for this episode of Beyond the Podium, a sports podcast by Reliance Foundation. If you like listening to this, stay tuned and don't forget to follow us on our YouTube channel, Reliance Foundation Youth Sports. See you again soon.
For more such conversations on all things in sport, please ensure you follow the Beyond the Podium podcast by Reliance Foundation.
And don't forget to subscribe to Reliance Foundation Youth Sports YouTube channel.